The thrill, the roar, the drama begins once again. The world's biggest T20 league is all set to begin. It's the 18th season of the Indian Premier League, all set to begin 2 months of all non-stop cricket, non-stop games going down to the wire, and we all set to begin at the defending champions den at the iconic Eden Gardens. It's Kolkata Knight Riders who are facing off against the Royal Challengers Bengaluru. Opening clash. I have Orko with me. High voltage game. I must tell you, Orko, twice. This is the second time RCB and KKR are facing off against each other in the opening game of the season. By any chance, can you wonder, can you guess which was the first one? Because it was a memorable one.
Well, definitely. I think, if you remember, the IPL started off with this game, that Brendan McCullum knocked, scoring 222 for three and, knocking them over for almost 80 to 90 runs. So I think it was a one-sided win that KKR made out of it. And certainly this is called the El Primero, as people call it, because it's the premier or the primary first game
Absolutely.
of any tournament, which is the IPL in this case. So certainly a lot of expectations come from this particular fixture, and a lot of hype is associated with it, of course, because of multiple score lines like 49 all out, scoring 222, and so many such examples. So certainly a mouth-watering clash to watch out for on and off the field.
100%. A mouth-watering clash to watch out for. This game holds a lot of weightage, but these two teams definitely lock on tomorrow. But what about the remaining eight? They also face as the show progresses, as the tournament progresses. Are all the 10 teams balanced as per you?
Well, definitely. I mean, of course, every team has their own set of loopholes, their strengths and weaknesses and opportunities to improve. But I think overall, the Indian Premier League has the spice, in which all the teams have a positive impact, which they can create, and they have certain set of match winners who can take the game away on their day. Certainly, you can never write any team off or, hype a team too excessively, because it's a very balanced league and you never know what team would turn out on which day. So more than what it is on paper, it's about the performance on the field that does the talking.
100%. You said about a couple of numbers at 222, you definitely said. But at this venue, at the iconic Eden Gardens, I think whenever you ask a KKR fan or an RCB fan, memorable thing for RCB, if it never say 49 all out. 49 is the lowest score in IPL, and that was exactly what happened when Gautam Gambhir was out there. And in the very next auction, all the players, all the bowlers which KKR dismissed as RCB batters, everyone went to RCB team. Similarly, there's a happy hunting ground for the new skipper of RCB, which is Rajat Patidar. We all remember that 112 not out knock in the all-important eliminator versus the Lucknow Super Giants in 2022. I think this is where things come out spicy. You cannot forget whatever happened last time around when RCB and KKR faced off. That waste-type no ball from Rashid Rana, if I'm not mistaken, to Virat Kohli, which turned out to be a wicket which did not please the king. But at the end of the day, that was a dismissal. So a lot of, you said about El Primero, but this is a huge, huge game to kickstart the season. What about the head-to-head about these two teams? Let's take a look into that. Talking about the head-to-head about these two teams, last 5 matches between KKR and RCB. I wonder the reason why the Kolkata Knight Riders fan always say we will definitely count 2 points when we face the Royal Challengers Bengaluru. Just one win for RCB way back in 2022 at the Divai Patil Stadium. Can you recall that game also for me?
Well, definitely. I mean, it was a low-scoring match, and there were occasions where we set up a target which was pretty paltry, and of course, RCB did chase it down with a bit of difficulty. We saw Saudi getting a few wickets up front, and there was a little bit of a middle-order stability that was provided by Rutherford, and finally they crossed the line with Dinesh Karthik staying not out. But again, that was a thrilling game, a low-scoring thriller. Cricket fans like us would love to see such kind of games. Always people associate IPL with 250 plus scores, but sometimes if you have such kind of spice in low scoring thrillers, it becomes a fun game to watch. So certainly recollect that match, and ever since it's happy as a KKR fan that we have been on the winning side. But yes, that being said, that was the last time we lost.
100%. But 34 matches overall in terms of head-to-head. If you talk about the numbers, 20 times KKR have won, 14 times RCB have won between these two teams. Both the teams have a good record. Both the teams love playing at this venue. RCB do not have a good record playing the opening game of the season. Well, nobody can forget KKR, because my favorite moment was when Brett Lee knocked over the off stump of Udmukh Chand in the first ball of the new season. Thoughts on that? Will KKR come into this season, despite being at the home ground, a little bit confident over RCB?
Well, definitely. Of course, past results does, give a lot of confidence for teams, especially in fixtures which you term as rivalries. But again, we have to be balanced in our mentality and never take any team too lightly, keeping aside the past history. And every game, every day is a new day, and records and past achievements are meant to be changed. So certainly RCB would try to come to punch above their weight, and KKR need to be wary of it. But yes, of course, they are playing at home. I would not completely call it a home because RCB has a lot of support down here, thanks to Virat
Absolutely.
Kohli. So
Absolutely.
it'll be a pretty biased crowd. You would see, a very neutral crowd. I would say, as many KKR fans would be the
Can I
same in
see a
RCB.
60-40 crowd a little bit towards RCB, a little bit towards KKR? Because if Chennai comes, that becomes the opposite.
Absolutely. I mean, the Dhoni factor, it looms large over every venue that we play in the IPL. I mean, regardless of which team you support, when it's Dhoni, it's the kind of loyalty, the love that people have towards him. So no one can question that, of course, given his contribution to the game. And in this fixture, of course, we know that we have a better record. So maybe KKR fans would be a slightly higher in terms of number. But again, Kohli fans, RCB fans would also try to create equal amount of noise and pressurize the home team.
Absolutely. It's the opening game of the season. Opening ceremony is also on the cut. So many big stars are about to perform tomorrow. What about the pitch report of the iconic Eden Gardens? Let's take a look into the numbers. Talking about the numbers at the Eden Gardens, 93 matches have been played in the IPL. 38 times the team batting first have been victorious. Similarly, on the other hand, 55 times the team chasing have been victorious. The reason why it says a chasing hunting ground, belted off a surface, but teams that have defended totals as well. It's like the first game of the season last year, it was Harshit Rana was Henry Klassen, which was defended. 49 times the team winning the toss have been victorious compared to 44 on the other end. Your thoughts if I give you the captain Zad Orko, win the toss, go with the same mantra like last season, chase?
Definitely, and even if you look at the conditions, coming up, if you even live in the present, you know that it's a possibility of high rain, coming into the game and affecting
Oh,
it. So
yes.
if the game gets shortened, if it's not a 20 over game at all, then so it obviously benefits the side that chases. And also, if people do bring into account factors like due or past record of the Eden track being a bit, chase friendly, of course, any team would want to chase, and toss would be a very crucial factor this time around.
Absolutely. Toss will be a huge factor. There is possibly a 60-70% of rain is possibility tomorrow at the Eden Gardens. Fingers crossed. Hopefully, we have a good opening ceremony and a full 40 over game. Otherwise, I must tell you, Orko, we both know especially how good the Kolkata Knight Riders or the Kolkata Cricket Association of Bengal ground staff are, how quick they are, how good they are to get the ground ready as soon as possible to get some game time. But on the other end, you said about due factor, I must tell you. There's a new rule that has come out by BCCI before the season. It was that saliva can be used nowadays. We stopped that since the COVID period. That can be a different thing. But you said about due factor. From the 11th over, there is a possibility if there's heavy due, if the match official thinks so, a second ball will be given, a little bit of semi-new ball will be provided for better gripping of the ball. Do you think that's a little bit good opinion taken for the bowlers?
Well, of course, I think, keeping in mind that the IPL is very much batsman friendly, the tracks are flat, the boundaries are pretty small, and, with dew and all coming in, it's more like whoever bats second wins the game. So I think to make it a bit more competitive, I would like to see things like these, making the pitch a bit more bowler friendly, or maybe create these kind of rules where we can actually change the ball if it's, of course, again in the hands of the umpire. It's his discretion which decides. And of course, I think there will be a few controversial moments that will be created, because there will be teams and their fans who would say that maybe the ball doesn't needs to be changed. Some will say
Absolutely.
that the ball should be changed. So there will be some quarrels between the players, the captain, and maybe even the fans. That's a totally different story. But as of now, it's a breath of fresh air that the bowlers and, the bowlers in total, I would say, are being given a bit more priority, trying to even out the competition in the coming games.
100%. There will be many things, and I think that's where the match officials, the umpires need to be strict enough, and their decision 100% will be final. But on the other end, during the season, we always have updates about the squad, a little bit of injury update. Late change has been made by the Kolkata Knight Riders. Umran Malik, who was bought in the IPL auction, has been replaced now by Chetan Sakaria, who was part of the Kolkata Knight Riders before. Umran, what about this change? Do you think it's good enough?
Well, I hope so. Of course, he has been with the camp even in the previous year, and there's a bit of a history, a long story between him and Bharat Arun that, he had a very severe injury in the past, and somehow, even after that, he has been allowed to come into the KKR camp as a net bowler. He wasn't sold in the auction, but he was playing the practice games even before he was signed as a replacement. And just when Umran was successfully or confirmed to be ruled out, he was immediately roped in. So KKR always functions, in terms of loyalty, tries to get back players whom they have previously played with or used. So certainly that's what perhaps gave a bit of bias to Bain Sakaria. Of course, as fans, we would have thought that maybe people could look at Vidvat Kavirappa or Sandeep Warrior or options like him or Karthik Tyagi. But that being said, Chetan Sakaria also an international player, and And certainly someone, if he gets going, can bring a amount of variety with the swing, with his cutters, and also the left arm variety. So hoping that he does well whenever he gets the
100%,
chance.
because he has that back of the hand slower ball, which could be turning out to be a very crucial thing in the death overs, because Kolkata Knight Riders need a little bit of experience in the death overs. Apart from Harshid Rana, I'll be very honest, I do not see that kind of a experience in death overs. Andre Russell has to do a lot of bowling in that. But on the other hand, for RCB, you might wonder Virat Kohli, Josh Hazelwood did not take part in the intra-squad matches that were played, but they are fully fit and ready to go in the first game. There was discussion about possibly Hazelwood or Tushara. How important will be the Hazelwood's experience for the RCB boys in surfaces like Eden Gardens?
Definitely. I mean, if you know that the ball does swing a bit under lights in tracks like the Eden and the Wankhede, and of course, Eden does have a bit of pace and some changes in terms of the presence of grass that is being provided. So I think Hazelwood certainly would get a bit of purchase even in the matches in the World Cup. In 2023, he was pretty lethal with the new ball against South Africa in the semi-final. So he's someone who knows how to operate in tracks like these. And given KKR having a very shaky top order, Quinton likes to go a bit hard. We don't have Salt this time around. Of course, Quinton is a much more stable cricketer, and we don't know how Narayan would do. Rahane would have a lot of responsibility. So certainly Hazelwood would be along with Booty a very crucial matchup in the power play overs.
100%. Surya Sharma will play for RCB. Phil Salt will play for RCB. A bit of emotions will definitely be for the Kolkata Knight Riders one, especially Phil Salt, who is going to open the innings alongside Virat Kohli for sure. What about talking about the strategies of this game? I have 5 questions for you. You will be given 60 seconds to answer that, Orko. Let's start with that. The time starts now. Predict how many wickets will Sunil Narayan and Varun Chakravarti take in this game?
Well, I would hope Narayan gets two and Varun gets three.
5 wickets altogether. Okay. Virat Kohli's strike rate predictions, of according to you, which has always been talked about in the IPL.
He'll go hard. I mean, this track does favor batters, so perhaps 150 plus.
150 plus. Okay. What could be the key strategies for RCB to stop the RRR, which is Rinku, Ramandeep, and Russell in the death overs?
Well, of course, pitches like these are pretty hard, harsh on the bowlers at the death. But I think that Dayal and Bhuvi, they would have a big role to play in the death overs. So only they, the duo of Dayal and Bhuvi, who can stop the RRR trio.
Okay. What about Bhuvaneshwar Kumar with the new ball? He can be a nightmare for the opponents at top order. How do you tackle him?
Well, as simple as that, Sen Narayan. I mean, he'll go after the bowling and he doesn't care as to how the ball will behave, how Bhuvi would bowl. He'll just swing at it, and if it works, it works. Otherwise, we do have enough batting depth. So I think just send Narayan and then he'll take care of the rest, hopefully.
Is it the same mantra if I say Josh Hazelwood at the other end?
Absolutely. I think Narayan doesn't look at the bowler or anything or even the conditions. He just looks at the ball. If it's in his arc, he'll go after it and he doesn't waste much ball. So certainly that's the mantra which worked for us previously and that's how they'll go with this time around.
And if you're on the bowling side, I think you might just bowl a little bit of bouncers to Narayan, which is a little bit of uncomfortable zone for Sunil Narayan. Apart from if you allow him to free his arms, he's deadly, to be honest. But these were your 5 rapid-fire questions. I've given your answers for that. Let's see how many are correct at the end of the game of the opening clash. But now let's move on to the players to watch out for in this game. Let's take a look at that output. 3 players from each side had to be 3 very important players who are going to all take the stage on fire in the opening game. Sunil Narayan, Andre Russell, Varun Chakravarti are my 3 players for the Kolkata Knight Riders. Virat Kohli, Rajat Patidar, Kunal Pandya are my 3 players for RCB. Can I start with KKR and can you explain the 3 players, please?
Well, definitely that 8 over bank that we have, regardless of which surface or which ground we play in, that often decides the game because it's the middle over stroke that KKR are so known for because of Narayan and Varun. So I think that, especially against the vulnerable, the spin struggling batting which RCB has, people like Livingston, they tend to struggle against spin. Padikkal also, we should not say this, but even Virat Kohli slightly struggles against these two
100%.
spinners. So I think that would obviously be a very important factor to watch out for. And Russell Muscle, of course, people may think that he's fast, is fine. He's another player who would always stand up in crucial games like these. I would even believe that Quinton de Kock would have an important role to play in this game because he's the one who gives the kind of starts which we would have expected if Salt was there, as he was in last year. So I think he's the one who can take on the opposition like Obi and Hazelwood up front and give those quick fire starts or maybe play a long innings. So I think Quinton de Kock also would have a very big role in this game.
And similarly, now would you continue now as you're saying Quinton de Kock and Narayan openers innings, both are left-handers. Whoever gets out, are you sending a left-hander to counter it or are you sending Ajinkya Rahane probably at number 3?
Well, I think Rahane would be at 3. I mean, even when he was in CSK, he played there in lead and he was pretty good. And keeping such records in mind, even in the Syed Mushtaq Ali, I think he was doing pretty well in the top of the order. And Venkatesh Iyer can adjust, of course, at number 4, number 5 as well. So I think Rahane, if you put him a bit more lower, it only takes away more momentum out of him. So if you put him up front, I think he'll be the one who can, go after the opposition or maybe play the longer innings.
Okay, so that could be your things, but Andy Russell, man for big occasions. On the other hand, if you talk about the RCB players to watch out for, Virat Kohli, Rajat Patidar loves playing at the Eden Gardens, and Kunal Pandya, I think is a fabulous addition to this RCB team. Kunal Pandya, the three players, please.
Well, of course, Kohli, the King Kohli, he's someone you can never write off and doesn't need much description, to be honest. Patidar would be very crucial. I mean, especially when you have a team like KKR who favors, spin bowling, and Patidar is a masterful player against spin. And
Absolutely.
even in the previous game, Eden Gardens, he went after Chakravarti, he went after Narayan, like they were not even, proper bowlers. And it was when Russell came in, got Patidar and Will Jackson a single over, that's when the game turned. Otherwise, they were
True.
just running out of the game. So Patidar, as a batsman, as a captain, he'll have a very big role to play. And as you rightly said, even Bobby, Hazelwood, the particular duo which starts off in the power play would again be crucial to get some early blows, early wickets up front.
100%. So you have given your thoughts, you have given your players to watch out for from both the teams. What about the key battles to watch out for? Here are my three battles I've gone for. You just said about Virat Kohli's weakness against spin. I think this man loves bowling to Virat Kohli, even inside the power play, outside the power play. 16 innings, 127 runs, and he has been dismissed 4 times by Sunil Narayan. That's battle number one. Liam Livingston and Varun Chakravarti, we saw in the recently concluded T20 series against England, also in the Champions Trophy. 6 innings, he has been dismissed twice, and just 22 runs have been scored out there. Quinton de Kock versus Josh Hazelwood. You said about Cricket World Cup 2023 semi-final out there. He loves bowling against Quinton de Kock. 24 innings. He has been dismissed 13 times by Josh Hazelwood. That's a battle to watch out for. Which one are you definitely watching? Any other battle you're adding out here?
Well, of course, Kohli and Narayan battle would be a very crucial one. I think you would call it a game deciding one because
True.
Narayan likes to feast on Kohli, and Kohli would not be someone who would look back. He would obviously look to take on the attack coming in as an opener, especially in tracks like these. And if it's a rain shortened game, then Kohli has no other option. So certainly that will be a wonderful battle. De Kock versus Hazelwood, again a similar battle which would be seen up front in the power play. De Kock likes to play those hook shots, those pull shots when it's in his arc towards the body. Hazelwood is someone who bowls that proper line and length, maybe a little bit outside of, trying to entice De Kock and create those kind of edges as he did in the past, 11 times, as you rightly said. And Varun, again, the entire middle order, not just Livingston, even if Tim David or Bethel or anyone who plays, I think he's the one who changes games these days with the new
True.
variation which he has got in his bowling. And if you have an overseas middle order, it certainly would be vulnerable against Varun Chakravarti.
100%. That is absolutely true. We will see what happens. You said about your battles. You said Virat Kohli with Sunil Narayan will be a mouth-watering one. What about the predicted playing 11s of the season opener? Let's take a look into the predicted playing. We're starting with the defending champions. More or less a settled 11 is what I'm going with. The Kolkata Knight Riders led by Ajinkya Rahane, Quinton de Kock, Sunil Narayan are my openers. Venkatesh Iyer at 4, RRR at 5, 6, and 7. Then you have Harshit Rana, Enric Nokia instead of Spencer Johnson. I was in two minds. I went with Enric Nokia's experience. Weber Varun and Varun Chakravarti are the two bowlers, with Ankush Raghuvanshi as my impact sub. Your thoughts on that, please?
Well, as you rightly said, a very settled team, and that's how they went into the auction, trying to replace the players whom they could not get, in the form of a buyback. So certainly Nokia is someone who would start because of his reputation, his experience, and even in the practice games, he was given a long run. He bowled in both the innings in both the practice games that happened.
Wow.
Of course, the second practice game was washed out in the second innings, but he did bowl in the first innings, and he was doing a lot of bowling at the death. So he will be the one who starts. As we earlier talked, Peacock and Narayan would be opening, and you can't really treat Narayan as a proper opener because the one who comes at 3 does play the role of an opener. So Rahane at 3, Venkatesh Iyer, then as you said, RRR, they continue. So overall, a very settled unit, and I don't expect any more changes then from this.
Okay, so this should be a settled 11. Then you have impact sub. If you're batting first, I think Ankush Raghuvanshi plays and Webb of Rook can sit back. Looking into that, we will see. But what about the RCB predicted playing 11? Let's take a look into that. New captain, new leader for the Royal Challengers Bengaluru, and I must say, there's a very, very good side. We always talk about maybe RCB going with a top-heavy side. The bowlers are not good enough, but on paper, this team looks really, really good. Virat Kohli feels salt to open. Rajat Patidar, Patikal, maybe 3 and 4 out there. Liam Livingston at 5. Tim David at 6. Jitesh Sharma at number 7. Kunal Pandya at 8. There's a long batting. Bhuvi, Josh Hazelwood, Yash Dayal, 9, 10, 11. If you're batting first, you might have a very death specialist in the name of Rasik Salam in the second innings. If you're bowling fast, you can have anybody in the top order. Swapnil Singh, man with the golden arm, was also there in the impact sum list, according to me. Your thoughts on the RCB 11, please?
Well, RCB have a bunch of handy players. I mean, they may not be very big names, but they are players who can, threaten the opposition. And as you rightly said, players like Krunal and Jitesh would have a big role when the spinners come up because they are the Indians who are a bit better, well versed with the spin. So, you can perhaps put Livingston, Tim David to play the waiting game, come out at 6, 7, or 8 or lower than that if required when the Pacers come in against whom they are a bit better. So I think the Indian batters in the middle order would have a very big role. And as we previously discussed, that's what the playing 11 would be. And Asik Salam, of course, would have a big role to tackle that lower order, which KKR has, in Ramandeep, Russell, Rinku. His death overs would be crucial. He's played for KKR in the past, so he knows Eden Gardens a bit too well as well. So certainly, this is what the playing 11 would be.
So both the teams settled 11, good team on paper. It's down to the 22 players to do it in the field and see. Let's see who takes the 2 points. Who takes the 2 points according to you now, Arko? You will be now in the hot seat. It's time for the predictions of the opening game. The focus is now on you. It's Kolkata Knight Riders versus Royal Challengers Bengaluru, opening game of the IPL 2025-18 season. What is your percentage?
It's a close game. I mean, it would be harsh if I underrate RCB. They have a team which can, punch above their weight. And even in recent Eden encounters, they have been doing pretty well. So maybe 55-45 in favor of KKR. Of course, because a KKR fan, the home advantage, I would have that bit of a bias. But I still believe that RCB would give a good fight and maybe prove me wrong in total.
Absolutely. 55-45, very tight encounter is what you're expecting. We'll see. Expecting a lot of sixes, a lot of run fest. I just really hope the rain gods stay away. We expect a full game. Let's see who wins the opening game of the season. Thank you so much, Orko. Thank you to all the viewers watching this one. The season begins. The carnival of cricket begins as well. IPL 2025 is all set. 18th season. Don't forget to subscribe to Fifth Umpire. Press the bell icon as well. Thank you so much and bye-bye.